Okay, I think we're live. Uh, Namaste and welcome to the 16th virtual native React Native and React Meetup. Uh, I hope you guys are all doing well. A very, very warm welcome to all the viewers on YouTube and any other platform that are watching us right now all across the globe. I do hope that you guys are keeping safe and well in these challenging times that just don't seem to end. But it's a beautiful day outside. Winter is almost coming, and I'm pretty sure that good times are just on the brink, and it's going to get better. Uh, as an introduction, my name is Digvijay Wanchoo, and I am the Assistant Manager of Marketing and Communications at GeekyAnts, and I will be your host for this event today. Uh, React and React Native has always been blessed by such a diverse and generous community that I predict that they won't let the momentum of these two technologies die anytime soon. And that is somewhat a part of what we are doing here today. So, without wasting any time, I think it's best that we get on with the show. And I would like to have Sankhadeep Roy join us. He is a software developer and the engineering manager at GeekyAnts. He's a die-hard Liverpool fan, and I think that's when we have him on the stream.
Hey,
Hi,
Digvijay.
how are you
Can I
doing?
hear? I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Great. How are you? Good. Good
I'm doing
morning.
well.
What's
I'm
your
doing well.
morning?
Oh yes, it's a
Uh,
brilliant morning today.
Same here. Got too much light here. I think it's messing with the lighting a bit, but
Yeah, I've
we've
got a
got to
window
live
right
with
in
it.
front of me. I've got a window right in front of me, and the sun is right there. So I
Okay.
think it's the blinds that are helping me a bit. Anyway, so as an
Nice. Yeah.
introduction, Sankadeep watches football a lot. He's a
Yes, I
diehard
do.
Liverpool fan. The last time I heard from him, he was willing to trade his life for Liverpool to win the Premier League, but I think it's a little different now. So I'll let
Yes.
you tell him
Yes.
all about it. Sankadeep, do let our viewers know what we are doing here today. So I'll give the stage to you. All the best.
Sure. Thank you so much for the introduction, Digvijay. Like you said, I am Shankadeep. I am an engineering manager and front-end engineer here at GeekyAnts. It's good to be here. It's always great to be here in the React Native meetup, be it virtual or the physical ones that we have. But yeah, hello everyone. I hope all of you have a great time. I know I will have, because the lineup of speakers that we have today is absolutely great. So yeah, that's it. I think it will be great. So this, I think, is the 17th React Native meetup that we're having, and the second one that we're doing remote. The first one was a couple of months back. The first virtual one is what I mean. That went great. There were a couple of lovely talks. We had speakers from all around the world, not just Bangalore. So yeah, that went well. In this meetup, though, it's a bit different. We have got speakers from React and React Native both. So it's not just a React Native conference or a meetup, whatever you like to call it. But yeah, we have lovely talks ranging from a wide range, which include a CI/CD pipeline in React Native to bridging notifications, animations, and experiment with a brand new state management library. So yes, I am very excited. And we've also got a talk which explains how, if you are a React developer, how easy or how hard it is for you to move into React Native. So yeah, that's something which I think would be great for all of us. I am very excited, and I'm sure you are too. So yeah, before we move ahead, let me take a minute to talk about us, Geeky Ants, about what we do, who we are. So we like to call ourselves a product studio. By that I mean that we build products for both ourselves and our clients. We build great products. We have built products which are in all the domains that you can imagine, be it fintech, gaming, e-commerce, whatnot. So yes, we have done it all, and we work on React Native, which is no surprise really, and Angular, Vue, and Svelte, which is a kind of new, but it's very interesting. I like it a lot, and I guess all of you do as well. So basically everything JavaScript and beyond. You also might have heard of some of our work in the React Native world, most notably Native Base, which is a UI library which has got lots of components which you can just pull and put it into your app, and then it eases the process where you do not have to build the UI components yourself. So that makes it easy, kills a lot of time that way. So that you can focus on the things that really matter. Not that UI design does not matter, but I'm just saying that it's easier if someone else takes care of it. Talking of which, we also have BuilderX, which is one step above native base. By that I mean you have a design tool, and there you can design your app, be it mobile or web, and then you just click a button and then it gives you the code for it. The entire UI is built for you. So that is a lifesaver. I am sure if you would like to try it out, if you haven't, that's definitely something you should try. Also, we are the ones behind Vue Native. That's basically a Vue wrapper over React Native. So if Vue is something that floats your boat, then I'm sure you would love to work with Vue Native. So yeah, that was about us. Coming back to this meetup, this being a remote meetup, this opens up a lot of opportunities for everyone, not just for speakers, for people like us who want to attend. So me being from Bangalore, and I have I've been to a lot of meetups in Bangalore, but there also have been instances in uh, Bangalore where I wanted to go to a meetup, but it was too far from my place, and the traffic of Bangalore is not something which we are all pleased about. But yeah, there's nothing we can do. Also, it might be that we want to go and then it's raining. The rain is something that's stopping us, and there are lots of excuses, right, if you want to call it that. Also, the one which I give is that I'm just too lazy to wake up and turn up at 10 meet up all dressed up and stuff. So that is taken care of now, right? We can just wake up, turn on our phones, laptops, wherever we feel comfortable, and yes, we are here in the meetup. So yeah, that is great. But then, is a virtual meetup better than a real physical meetup? That I think is still up for debate, because there are some things in a real meetup. By real I mean a physical meetup is that you get to interact with the people, the speakers, even people who are not the speakers. You can talk to them and see, okay, this is what you did, this is what I am doing. So basically, a lot of like-minded people under one roof. So that makes it very interesting, and that's something which we miss. And the free pizza and coke, of course. So that's also something that's great to have. But yeah, that's something that we have to like do without for now. But then yeah, what is possible though is that now we can have speakers from all around the world. Speakers like we have Toby here, who's from Nigeria. So that opens up a lot of door for everyone, not just people in Bangalore, people from all around the world, people with different diversities, ethnicities. People can come in and be a speaker. We get to learn what they are doing, their culture. So that's something which helps a lot as well, I guess. So yeah, I think that should be it. I will have a lot of fun. I'll take a lot of things away from this meetup, and I hope you guys do too. So I'll ask Digvijay to come in and take it forward from here. Thank you guys. Have a nice day.
That was absolutely brilliant, Shokunbi. I mean, I
Yeah.
agree with you on everything that you said. I mean, the virtual meetups open up so many possibilities for us as hosts and for all the people who are attending. I mean, we are
Yeah,
not
yeah. Not
bound
the free
by.
pizza though, but yeah.
Well, I know. I guess I miss a little bit of that too. But
Yes, you do.
getting rid of all the geographical boundaries and having everybody from across the world who is an enthusiast for these two brilliant technologies all coming together for these meetups is such a brilliant feeling. It's such a great feeling to have. And yes, thank you so much for letting everybody know about who we are and what we do and what exactly we are doing here. So I am also just as excited as you are, and I'm also hoping to take a lot of things away from this meetup.
Sure,
So
sure,
thank you very
Digvijay.
much.
Thank
Thank
you
you very
everyone. Have a
much.
nice day. All the best to the speakers.
All right. So to start with, we were supposed to have Toby, who has just joined us. Wonderful. Okay, so we are on schedule then. I would like to introduce our first speaker of this event. He is Oluwatobi Shokunbi. He is speaking all the way from Nigeria. Let's have him on the screen quickly. Hi there.
Hi.
Welcome
How?
back.
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm fine. I'm
I
fine.
am under the impression that it's really early in the morning there right now.
It is actually very early.
I hope you've had your cup of coffee.
No, yet. Probably after this one.
Okay, then you better get one. Anyway, so
Cool.
as a short introduction, Oluwatobi is a returning speaker. He has spoken on a previous virtual meetup as well, where he gave an amazing introduction to React Native as a technology. He loves to hike. He is the organizer and founder of the React Native Nigeria meetup group. So he's one of the pack. And
Definitely.
about the rest, he is going to be talking about setting up CI and CD in React. So I'm going to let Toby take it away from here. Toby, why don't you take the world by surprise? All the best.
Hello?
Toby, can you hear me? I think there's some network issue. Yep, there he is. Uh, all right, I guess we'll just wait for a second for him to come back. Uh, Meanwhile, you should go check out his Twitter. He is building a lot of brilliant stuff, and I think he's back. I think you're having some network issues.
Yeah, I think so. But
Yeah,
I'm
we
back
all.
now. Thank you.
Oh yes, you're back. You're back. So as I was saying, I was telling people to go check out your Twitter because you're building a lot of brilliant stuff and you're posting regular updates. And I believe you're recently uploading something on YouTube. You're creating some content that everybody should look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to push more content on React Native and basically React.
That is brilliant. I'll just let you tell everybody about it. So the stage is all yours. Take it away and all the
Sure,
best.
sure. Thank you very much. Just to be sure if see my screen. Okay, hey. Just to be sure if everyone's seeing my screen. So my name is Oluwatobi Shokunbi. I am based in Abuja, Nigeria, and I will be giving a talk titled React Native CI/CD setup. So a little bit about me. I think you already covered everything. I'm a software engineer based here in Abuja, Nigeria, and currently also the founder of React Native Nigeria, which is basically a community like this where we also try to host events such as this to talk about React Native and basically just get to know each other in the community and also grow the community. I also do a lot of write-ups on Medium. I write a lot about React Native, about React, about Laravel, about tech in general, and I try to also make my content a little bit more explanatory. So it's something where you really feel that someone is teaching you what you are supposed to do. And I do post a lot of content on YouTube, so I hope you do check that out, and I hope you subscribe, and I definitely hope you enjoy it. So let's get right to our talk. So yeah, talking about setting up CI/CD in your React Native application. So let's go about your project beta. And what you would naturally do is you would start up a new project. You would just run your normal npx React Native inits and whatever your project name is supposed to be. You would work on your project for both the iOS and the Android parts. You will build a release version for your application, and also you would then move forward to upload your builds to both stores. Most likely you will get a rejection from Apple Store. It is normal. They would give you some type of review on what's wrong. You would fix it, and most likely you would get rejected for the second time. I'm just messing around. I recently just uploaded an app and I got like a lot of rejections multiple times. But eventually, you would fix all the bugs and then finally submit your project to both stores. And just like that, your project is live. You have all your users can go and check out what you did, and yeah, you basically have your project live. But there is definitely a problem here, and it's normal. There is a problem that you have a lot of issues moving forward in terms of pushing out new updates for your applications to your users. You have a lot of you would have a lot of issues when it comes to also testing, because you are just running the application locally in your system and uploading it manually. And the last thing is, if you're working on this project with a lot of people, say with a team, this type of method doesn't work out, because it just works great if it's just one person working on the project. So it does have a little bit of issues, and there is a ton of approach. So my approach, the approach I will be talking about today, is kind of using App Center to get a lot of things up and running. Basically trying to like get App Center to um handle most of the heavy lifting as regards testing, analytics, building your project, testing it. It does have a lot of things going there. I hope you all go check it out. But let's go forward. So how you would usually do this is, you would start up a new project with this new approach. You would start up a new project, normally npx react native init, name of your project. It will download the codes onto your system, and you would CD into that project, and you are good to go. After that, you want to push your code to any version control. I'm using GitHub here. So you go to GitHub, you create a new repo. When you create the new repo, you would just run the commands being provided to you by GitHub, and you would push your codes basically. After that is done, you would then head over to App Center and log in with your GitHub account. You can't get to App Center if you just visit appcenter.ms. Once you're on App Center, you would see on the top right corner where you could add new apps, and there you could see a lot of platforms that App Center currently supports. They do support a whole lot of platforms, so you could not. It doesn't just work for only React Native, but for this for the course of this talk, we will be using React Native. So you just go over there and add a new app. Once you have added a new app, you would need to add an app twice, because you would remember you are building for the iOS and the Android side of things. So you would create a new app and probably choose the OS version for iOS and the platforms to be React Native. You would do the same thing all over again and select Android, and the platform should be React Native. As you can see here, App Center does support a whole lot of platforms. You can see Java, Kotlin listed there. You can see Cordova, you can see Xamarin, you can see Unity. So they do support a lot of, as well as React Natives, but they do support a good number of platforms. So after you've done this, you just add your app, and basically you would see this dashboard just in front of you, depending on the platform. And once you see this dashboard, you would want to build your app. So you just do navigate to build on the left side of your project, or the left side of this dashboard. And once in build, you can already see that you can connect your repo with any of these providers. They do support a lot of providers. The funny thing is that App Center does support a lot of things, funny enough. Yeah, so we will be going with GitHub. Once you go with GitHub, you can search for the repo that has your project. For the sake of this project, I named it React Native CI/CD Setup. This is a private repo, but I'll probably make it public after this talk. When you select that, it basically just runs everything for you, and you can see that you can select the branch you want to have App Center run the build each time you make a commit. It's set to master, so that's the branch listed there. You just click on the branch, and you will be asked if you want to configure this build. You can't configure the build, and it's just normal it's just all straightforward, just a whole click kind of view. You can't see the app project name. You can fill all this up. Build frequently. You can select how frequently you want your project to build. Do you want to build this branch on every push. So do you want App Center to basically build your app for you every time you commit to this, every time you commit to your branch, or do you want to manually choose when to run builds? You can't choose all that there because they have a whole ton of configurations. You can't select what you're looking for, how you want it, but what I really want to talk about in this section is the sign build section. Now, if you want to sign for iOS, you would have to make a little bit of configuration on your code part side of things. So you would open your project on your Xcode, and you would try to disable auto sign in. Should be disabled. Then you would also select the correct provisioning profile. If you don't have your developer license, I do wish you would basically need that for this, because you have to download a provisioning profile from there and your certificate and upload it over here. After that is done, you will go over to the Android side of things. It is very similar, very, very similar. You would go over to the Android side of things and do the same thing over there. Go over to build, and the same thing goes also for signing your Android side of things, because you would want to build most of your signing on this device. So over here, they would ask for your key store file, which you can generate yourself and upload. The option is there, and just fill in all the necessary details for the key store file. Key store file you just uploaded, the key store password, alias, or the key password. But if you already have this already set up manually, you could just click check the box up there. My gradle settings are entirely set to handle signing automatically, and after that you are basically good to go, and it will begin to run the build for you. This takes quite a while. Sometime it's not really that long, but yeah, it will take a while to build, as you can imagine. But sure enough, it will build your app for you, and once it does build the app, it does send a notification to everyone on the testing team of this project. Remember, you could actually add as many emails you want to have as testers on App Center. It is very easy. Once you add them, each time there is a new build of your project, everyone on that project will be notified about this build. They will be sent a email. They will be sent an email just like this, and they can download the new build and test it on their device. One thing to note is, if you don't sign the iOS app, you won't be able to run it on the device. One thing to know, but you should do that. So why is this good? It's good because there's a better workflow. The better workflow in the sense that it's a whole lot easier in terms of moving forward. When there's a new build, you don't have to go through all this process again. It's a little bit it's App Center handles this overhead for you. And of course, as developers, we want to focus on writing code. So we can now focus on that and have App Center handle this for us. But there is one more issue. We are building our application and sending updates to the testing team. But this doesn't solve our problems in terms of when we upload our project to the Play or App Store and how to pull in new updates for our code. And that is where this really cool thing on App Center comes in, and it's called Code Push. Now, what Code Push does is it basically it basically creates a new bundle of your project and uploads it to App Center server. And once that is done, each time you just have to build your APK or your IPA file once and send it to the store. And each time there's a new update for your app, all users who have those apps on their phones will just basically check the server for new updates and pull the new bundle for that. So the workflow is kind of different here, because you won't necessarily need to always submit new apps, except you make changes to the native side of things. But if you are making basic fix to the JavaScript side of things, you could just bundle that, push push that to the App Center server, and your applications will basically just pull that code, and it kind of makes the whole workflow kind of seamless. Setting up code push is really straightforward. They did on the App Center website on the docs, they did make a very good effort to explain how to set that up with different React Native versions. So it is pretty straightforward. What you would do is you would want to install the App Center CLI globally on your machine. After that is done, you could follow the code push SDK to my app. There are a lot of straightforward instructions there on how to get that done. And once you are done, you would want to get these production keys because you would need them. And how you get your production keys is on the top right corner where you see the wrench. You just click on that and you would see your production keys. Once that is done and you are done setting up, you can run the command which says App Center push release React A, and the release and update command, which is number 4 on this list, is just down there. You could just copy this and paste on your terminal, and it will create a new bundle for your application, send it to the App Center server, and run all that for you. So it is pretty much straightforward. And once that's done, if you go to your code push tab on your App Center, you would be able to see this release listed just over there, and it is pretty much straightforward. This isn't new. It is just a different way of working as opposed to building your app bundles manually and uploading them to the App Store or Play Store. So yeah, review. So what did we do? So what did we do is we did try to shift away from trying to do things a little bit manually and try to have App Center handle both building our apps, notifying testers, and signing for us. And App Center does a whole lot of things aside this. It also has analytics, so you could also check that out. But for the sake of building your app and delivering it to your users, it does handle that very well. And setting that up is really kind of seamless with what I just showed. So yeah, thank you for listening. And any questions?
Hi again.
Hey.
All right. So, Toby, we have a few questions here for you
Okay.
from our viewers. John Francis is asking if we can use Fastlane for CI/CD as well, and what do you think about that?
Okay. Well, funny enough, App Center does use Fastlane to a large degree under the hood. So yeah, but you can run with Fastlane directly. It basically does it basically would do what you want it to do. So yeah, you go for it, man. You go for Fastlane or you go for App Center, whichever rocks your boat.
Great. Ashwani also asked if App Center is a part of the MS code push, but I guess you already answered that. So yeah, so I guess that's done. At the moment, Toby, that's all the questions we have. The talk was brilliant. Thank you very much. And I just would like to tell you that it would be amazing if we could have you till the end of the session. If that's not too much, I know it's really early morning.
Definitely, I will be at the end of the session.
Wonderful. That's so great. Anyway, all right, Toby, thank you so much for being here, and we will see you towards the end of the show.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure being here.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you with us.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, so that was Oluwatobi Shokunbi talking about how to set up CI/CD for React and React Native. Moving on with our agenda, we have the next speaker on the cards, that is Gurmanjot Singh Randhawa. He is going to be talking about bridging the gap between React Native and Swift, being a man having expertise in React Native and Swift. So Gurmanjot, we would love to have you on screen now. There he is.
Hello,
a very good morning to you. Or is it afternoon, or we are already in the noon time? How are things? How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. So, as a short introduction for Gurmanjot, he has been working with us at GeekyAnts as a software developer. He has almost 1.5 years of experience in React Native now,
Yes,
and he also loves to watch football or play football or both.
both. I'm like
Both.
San. Yes,
So, which team do you support? That is something that I don't know.
Barcelona.
Oh, he's a Barcelona fan. What do you think about the recent Messi news?
Well, it's little bit sad.
Yeah, tough question.
Tough question, yes.
Anyway, Gurmanjot, I will leave the stage up to you and take it away. All the best.
Thanks. Okay. So, hello everyone. I hope you're all doing good today. My name is Gurman, and I work as a software engineer at GeekyAnts. I have over 1 year experience in React Native, and today we'll be discussing about bridging between React Native and Swift. So while writing React Native apps, we often find ourselves in need of a native functionality. So if React does not provide that by default, so what we do is we go to npm or search for a library to solve our issue. And thanks to our vast React Native community, we often find what we are looking for. Okay, but what happens if we don't find the correct solution or which fits our problem? So we'll have to write that code or that native code ourselves. So recently I was also in this kind of a situation. So I wanted to share my insights with you all. So let's just look at some of the basics. So the topic for today's discussion: what is a bridge, how to create native modules in Swift, and how to use these modules in React Native, or how can you call these modules from React Native. So what is a bridge? Well, bridge is a concept which provides bidirectional communication between these two languages, and in our case, React and Native. So the main point to note is that React Native bridge is asynchronous. So the only way to provide communication is through promises or events, or you can also use callbacks. So now we know that there's this thing called bridge. So let's see how does that work. So how do you create a native module in Swift? First of all, let's open Xcode, and then we create a Swift file and then add it under your project name. And after you do that, Xcode will automatically ask you to create a bridging header. You can also create that yourself, but Xcode is doing the work for you. And also we need to create an Objective-C file. But why is that? Like, we are writing a code in Swift, but why do we need Objective-C file then? Well, the reason behind that is that React Native was made to talk to Objective-C. So what we have to do is there are two ways to send our code to JavaScript. We can either write in Objective-C and export it directly, or we can write it in Swift and then expose that code to Objective-C and then export it to JavaScript. So basically what you need to do is you need to create three files. First is your Swift file, second your bridging header, and third is an Objective-C. In your Swift file, you write your class and all its method. In the bridging header, what you do is you import all the Objective-C headers that you want Swift to use. So the basic one is RCT bridge module. So that module, that header is responsible for letting your bridge know about your modules. Like, it will register all your modules to the React Native bridge. And an Objective-C file, we'll see it in a later that the code which we write in Objective-C, that is used to export your class and methods to React. So we'll be creating some Swift constants, Swift methods. First of all, constants. Then we'll implement promises and event emitters. So constants. So we'll use a method named as constants to export. Now what it does is it returns an array with a key value pair. And in this array, you can mention all the constants that you want. And if you can see, there's an @Objective-C written in front of it. Now, as I mentioned previously, that you'll need to expose your Swift code all your Swift classes and all its methods to Objective-C first. So for that reason, we annotate our method with Objective-C so that it will behave as an Objective-C type. Okay. And why do we use only this function, constants to export? We can also export using promises or even callbacks. But what is the use of this method, constants to export? Like all these methods, all the constants which you will export using this, they will be available at runtime. Like if you have any static data that you want to be available at runtime, you can export it using constants to export. And all the others, like in promises or even in events, they will be present. You can avoid a round trip over the bridge. Like you'll have to first call it from React and then it will come to native and then go all the way back. So to avoid that, you can write it here as well. Okay, so this is just a simple promise function. What it does is it basically adds two numbers. So now you can see that there are three things here, like three columns. You can see in the parameter there are three things. In the first column you can see underscore, second, resolver, and rejector. We'll skip that part for now, and I'll explain why is that. These are basically called as parameter labels. Okay, we'll see it in the later slides while writing Objective-C, like what is the function of that. Okay, next, in the next column we have 1, 2, resolve, reject. They are known as parameter names. And the third column we have parameter types. If you are familiar with TypeScript, you would have it's a little bit similar to that. So NS integer, it's basically kind of integer as well. And RCT, promise, resolve, and reject block, they're provided by RCT bridge module only. Okay, so what we did here is we just perform any operation. Like it can do much. You can do any operation here. So once that is complete, based on the success level, success or error, you send resolve or either reject the message or reject the function. So in resolve, you directly just resolve with the response. And if there is an error, you send the reject function. You basically reject that function. And it takes three parameters. First is an error code, second is the error message, and third is an NS error object. You can either pass null, it's up to you. And we have annotated it with Objective-C as well because we want React to use this. Next is an event emitter. Like how do you send events from native and then listen to those events in React? So first of all, we'll have to import an RCT event emitter header. And now what that header does is it provides us with a method named as supported events. Now what this method does is it basically returns an array which has string values. And what are these string values? These string values are the events which React can listen to. Like all the events which you want to listen to should be mentioned in the supported events method. But how do you send those events? So basically you just create a function. For example, I created one, subtract. So what it does is it subtracts two values. And then to send an event, I'll use send event method with name and a body. Now, while using it in React, we listen to a particular event. So that event will be the with name one. And the response which we want, it will be present in the body. And same Objective-C right in front of it. So that is how we send events from native. Life cycle. Okay. So till now what we did was we have written our code in Swift and then expose it to Objective-C. So now Objective-C can access all those functions and those methods and the class. So now, as I mentioned previously also, we'll have to export those modules through Objective-C. Now we have to write some code in Objective-C to export that module in React Native. Now when I say that export or expose to React Native, it just means registering your module or letting your bridge know that this module is present in your native. Okay, and how we do that is we use an RCT extern module macro. It's provided by Objective-C. So what it does is makes your bridge know that this module has to be transferred to JavaScript. Okay, and we'll see later how to use that. So now native modules has access to your modules, but how do you use it in your app? So you use it through native modules object. It's provided by React Native. So all the native modules that you will export from native, it will be present as a parameter, as a property to native modules. Okay, we'll see that later, like how that works. Okay, so now this is the Objective-C file. Now we have written the Swift code, and then we move on to our Objective-C file and we export that module. Now, how do you do that? As I mentioned, you use RCT extern module. Now, what that does is it takes two arguments. The first is the name of your module which you just created, and its parent class, which is NSubject. NSubject is basically the parent class of most of the Objective-C files. So is that, and in React also, whenever you want to access that class, you'll have to use the same name, Swift module. Or if you want to change the name, you can use another macro. You can use RCT extern remap module. It takes three arguments. First is the name that you want to use, that you want to call it from, and second is basically your class name with which you implemented it, and third is its parent class. Okay, so, and also you just exporting the module won't give you access to all its functions, so you'll have to export its methods individually. Like like you can see here, I have exported them using Objective-C provides us an RCT extern method macro. Now what that does is it exports all your your method which is mentioned here. So the basic syntax of if you remember, like I just told while mentioning promises, there was a label, parameter label, which I said I'll explain later. So this is where the label comes in. So as we had underscore there, huh? Underscore, second, resolver, and injector. They were the basic parameter labels. So as you can see, they're all mentioned here. So why is that? They provide mapping to your Swift code. And I'll basically tell you the syntax of how this works. So first of all, we write the name of the function. Okay, and then after the name function, if it takes any parameters or arguments, for the first one, we only mention its types and its parameter name. We don't mention its label, and that's why there was an underscore in the add function for the first label, because we are not providing any label. Okay, and yes, that's it. Like we have the labels, and then we have that parameter types, and then those parameter names. And same goes for subtract as well. We had underscore for the first parameter, and then we have a parameter type, then parameter name. The syntax is basically the same. Okay. So now we have exported our module and all our methods to our bridge. But how do you access those from React Native? So what we do is we use native modules subject which is provided by React Native, and all our modules which we exported, they will be available as properties. So as you can see here, we can access that as a property for Swift class. And if you want to listen to events, you'll have to create an instance of native event emitter of that module, for which in which you are sending those events. So I'm sending the events in the same module, so that's why I mentioned the same. Okay, but how do you listen to those events? Okay, so this is how you access the constants which we provided in the constants to export method. Okay, and next are promises. So promises you can access using async await, or if you want, you can use then or catch. It's up to you. Like we'll get a value 5 if you add this two numbers. It will return you with a resolve 5. Next, events. Like how do you send events? Like if you remember, like we sent an event in the subtract function. So what it will do is it will send an event with the event name as subtraction, and in the body it will send value 15. So what we did here is we added an listener with the name of subtraction. So we're listening to subtraction event, and then as a response we will get the value. And what is this value? This value is the one we mentioned in the body of the event which we were sending in native. Okay, so this is basically how you access all the things that you did in your native code. Thank you. So I'll be providing a GitHub link for this very shortly. I'm adding few more functions for that. So basically we'll see what happens. Okay. Shall we
Why, hi, Gurman.
Hello.
Thank you so much for all the informative things you've told us. Although we have a question for you from the viewers.
Okay.
So, Israr Sheikh asks, is it possible to keep our secret keys in Swift file and then export them using constant to export so that the keys will be more secure?
Well, for security, if you want to use that, you should keep it in the environment variable only in React. If it's a static data, then why do you want to even write it there? Like if you're using it from Swift or if it's provided in Swift only, then it makes sense. But I don't think you should write it there. It's better if you write it in environment variable only. I hope
Okay,
that.
well, yeah, well, I hope that answers this question too. So that is all the questions that we have for you at the moment. If there are any more, we'll probably get them to you towards the end of the session so that you can answer them for our viewers. Meanwhile, Gurman, thank you so much for your time here, and we would love to have you towards the end of the session. So please
Yeah.
stick around, and I'll see you again at the end.
Yes, see you again. Bye.
Thank you so much. All right, folks. So that was Gurman. He talked about Bridge and React Native and Swift. And if anybody of you is trying to work with these three things, and I think this was the perfect talk for you. So moving on with the agenda, of course, there are not many talks left now. So stick around with us. Be your patience, please. We have Yash Gupta. He is going to be talking about if you are a React developer and if you are looking to figure out what React Native is like, I think this is the perfect talk for you. Let's have Yash on the screen with us.
Perfect.
There he is.
Is this it? Is like a bit tilted, like you. Hmm.
Oh, I guess we can all see you. That's absolutely fine.
Oh, wait. Okay. Nice. It's
All right. How's your
much better
afternoon
now.
going, Yash?
Yeah, it's going great.
Welcome to
Uh,
the React and React Native virtual meetup. It is a pleasure to have
that
you
was
with
a
us.
really amazing lineup before me, and like really enjoyed those talks. And even I'm thinking about getting into Swift because like knowing React Native with some native languages, it's a great it's a great thing to be. And so yeah.
Well, I think Gurman would be very happy if you do that. Uh, so, as a small introduction to Yash, he has been a main lineup speaker in React India in 2019, which was very
Yeah.
recent. He is interested in JavaScript, React front end design, and he is a gamer.
Yeah,
So I
game.
hear you play Fortnite and Among Us.
Yeah, I do.
I have just started playing Among Us. I think we should add each other and play.
Yeah, sure. We can
I think
hop
we
on
can
Discord
test
and
our poker face skills.
yeah.
All right,
Uh,
perfect. So Yash, I'm going to leave you to our viewers, and all the
okay.
best for your presentation. Take it
Hmm.
away.
All right. Uh, okay, let's see. Is my screen visible? Mm, all right. Here we are. So my talk is going to be about reacting to the native. And before starting my talk, a little bit about myself. I'm Yash Gupta. I'm obviously a human, and I'm a web developer. And by human, I mean I code for humans. I make applications for humans, and I make them with empathy for other human beings. So first of all, I want to quickly go over why React Native, and like as I was introduced, like I was introduced as someone who is going to tell about going from React to React Native. But even if you're considering to begin React, React Native, like you don't know anything about React, I'm still going to make and trying. I'm still trying to. I'm still going to try to convince you to learn React Native, and maybe React Native could also be a better choice than. Wait. Yeah, and I'm still trying to going to convince you to use React, learn React Native and use it. So let's see why you should consider using React Native. So as a young person, apps have really attracted me, right? So I grew up seeing computers. Computers were gigantic, of course. Like you could not carry a computer everywhere. Then we had laptops, which also had a barrier of carrying around. You could not do that. And as a young person, I saw like the whole world is moving towards app, and I developed this sort of opinion that in future we are going to have many apps, right? But like as I grew old, I think that PWAs and web technologies are really good now, but it's still like native applications have like certain perks to them. PWAs have certain perks to them, but that was just young me trying to get into Android development and things. So let's talk about the entry barrier. That is a big thing. So when I was beginner, entry barrier was a big thing to me. So let's say I'm a beginner and I'm trying to get started with coding. And what is actually my I think I need to put my phone on silent. Yes. Okay, nice. Yeah. So as I was a beginner, like I needed to understand a lot of things. So my first reaction was what technologies to begin with, and my first reaction was let's try to learn Java because I have a Windows machine, and Android was really prevalent in India, and it is still one of the major markets in India when it comes to smartphone. Everybody uses Android, so why not learn Java? So there was this huge entry barrier. I misplaced these slides, but this is how a hello world looked like. And 13-year-old me had no idea that like that what is public static void means. And my sort of reaction was something like this, like mind blown. What's happening? Like as a curious person, I really need to understand what's going on in each and every line. And if I'm not understanding what I'm coding, then I feel really helpless, right? Even with when I started with web and I started using create React app, when I was just using boilerplates and things, I had this feeling where I knew nothing about Babel and Webpack things, bundling, and this was such a big black box to me, and it like made me feel like an imposter. Now contrast this with something like hello world of HTML. If you are a beginner, and if I am a beginner and I'm really young, I don't have anyone to teach me programming, then I would more likely to be drawn toward making something like this thing right here than anything else, uh, than anything like this, right? And let's talk about more barriers. So yeah, I was curious person. I thought that whatever the code is, let's try to download Android Studio and try to write some code in it, right? So Android Studio is a full IDE, and like not everybody is privileged to have good hardware. Even like I had a PC with 4 GBs of RAM back then, and Android Studio was sort of laggy for me, but sort of laggy to me. But then I started using HTML. Like so, Android Studio was not only laggy; it was very confusing to me as a beginner. I'm gonna put this straight. So then I decided to start writing HTML because that was the closest thing to like having my hardware and things working. And the good thing about React Native is that you can literally write React Native code in Vim. And I certainly write React Native code in Vim too. So after like getting past this first barrier of getting started, I started incorporating my JavaScript code. I was already good with HTML, CSS in a couple of months. It definitely took me a lot more time to get good in CSS. I was writing really bad CSS. But anyways, I got really good with HTML and CSS. Then I started incorporating a bit of JavaScript. And one of my and then I came to know about these web frameworks technologies like React. And when I was like looking through the benefits of Reacts, then what struck me was that I could write like web applications, and also I could write things with React that would work on both Android as well as iOS. So it was truly cross-platform, and like I was a bit skeptical about the performance and things, but we will talk about that. Let's talk about how a basic React program would look like. So this is what a basic React program looks like, and to me, this like as someone who knows a bit of JavaScript, I think this would be much simpler to explain someone who has like written some JavaScript with HTML, CSS than explaining object-oriented programming. And but that's just me, right? If you feel like that Java is like better for you, then go ahead. I don't have any strong opinions that you should not learn Java as a first programming language. But as I've shown earlier, it was certainly an entry barrier to me, and I tried learning it and things just didn't work out. Yeah. So yeah, React Native was truly cross-platform, and so for making Android as well as iOS applications, I won't have to go ahead and learn, say, Swift and also Java or Kotlin all at the same time. I could just use React and do it. Now, another thing, like as I progressed further along my journey, there was another thing, reusing logic. So I could write web applications. So I was like really interested in building cross-platform applications. Maybe I have a side project that I want it to be cross-platform or something, right? So what I could do is I could write the logic once for web, and I could reuse it for Android as well as iOS. And as someone who wants to create relatively smaller projects, it's a big deal for me that I won't have to learn many technologies. And even if you are having a huge company, then it's still a big deal, because you could potentially save a lot of money by reusing logic, as you won't have to hire different teams who write JavaScript and Java, and like because like the more languages, the difficult it gets to maintain them. And there are other reasons, like if you want to train your team with like JavaScript, then you could train all your teams individually, and you won't have to invest in multiple ecosystems. And so I talked about my initial skepticism early, but as I started learning about React Native, my first reaction was, what apps use React Native? And we see Instagram use React Native, and React Native is truly native like experience. And Airbnb, I guess, even said that they found no differences between native apps and the apps that were written in React Native. So this was the beginner things. Now let's talk about React to React Native. So I have been a React developer for quite a while now, and I have been writing React code for 1.5 years or something. And I used just like I didn't want to immediately get into React Native, because I was still learning React and I was still making side projects in it. And like I was like, I got really vested into actually, I'm having a comment. Why he is comparing to Java with React? I don't see any similarity between Java and React. So the reason that I'm comparing Java and React is that if you want to make applications, then you have choices, right? Either you could learn React Native, or you could learn Java or Swift to make web applications. That's why I started as a point that you could be like having an entry barrier with Java, sort of, if you don't have a good machine. Whereas but I'm not saying that I'm saying that I don't have a personal opinion. I don't have a strong opinion about Java in general, that you should or you should not learn it. But for me, for 13-year-old me, Java was hard, right? But that H1 tags and that hello world was simpler. So Yeah, let's talk about my transition from a React developer to React Native. So recently, I had to learn React Native for work purposes, and so I decided to give React Native a go and see how simple is that. Uh, okay, yeah, and then the first thing that struck me was seeing React Native website was Vue, and I thought that there might be a couple of the differences, and there might be a lot of things with. And the only major differences were a few tags, like you have to use views instead of divs, and yeah, and that's it. And you have to, for performance season, learn a bit more about few components like flat list and things, and that's it. You're good to go with React Native. It was really simple, and I haven't used the native CLI of React Native because I asked uh, asked my manager about it, and he said that you're good to go with Expo because we will be using Expo in our team. So let's talk about styling now. For styling, React Native uses Flexbox, and as a experienced React developer, experienced CSS developer, Flexbox has been really simple. And Flexbox Froggy was so if any one of you are not familiar with Flexbox and you're still using, I definitely recommend you check out something called Flexbox Froggy. That would help you get started with Flexbox really easily. So yeah, and mm, so and this is it for styling. There's a few minor differences, like you have vertical padding and horizontal padding, and those there are just a few differences, but the styling is just very similar to CSS. So let's talk about developer experience. So I don't have any strong opinions about using Expo or React Native CLI, and as I already mentioned, I have not taken a look at React Native CLI right now. But so far, my experience as a React developer with uh, Expo has been really great. And even if I sometimes I just if I don't want to develop the application with my mobile, I can just open the view in my browser and start doing things. But I do recommend using a mobile. In fact, I do use a smartphone to test my applications, as it is the more optimal way. But Expo does provide a lot of good options. So let's talk about the community if you want support. And JavaScript is a great community. We have Stack Overflow, and everything is just full of support when it comes to React and React Native. And whatever the challenges I have faced till now have been really good. So thank you. And someone posted a link for Flexbox Froggy. So thanks, Shantanu, for that. And so my Twitter is Yash Gupta Z. It's right there at the bottom. And yeah, thanks for coming. That's it.
Hi again, Yash.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all the information. I'm pretty sure you must have convinced a lot of people to start developing React Native now in React Native
Yeah.
now. Although we have a few questions coming in from the viewers.
Yeah.
We have a question from Gino. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. So Gino says that I am torn in choosing between React Native and Flutter. So which one would you recommend for someone who came from backend development and is absolutely new to mobile app development?
Interesting. So I would say that if I were the person, then I would try both of them and stick to what I like the most.
Uh-huh.
And read about them. It really depends. If you are specifically looking for a job, I would look on surveys of Stack Overflow that which have higher paying salaries and things like that. And where I live, do I have React Native jobs or do I have Flutter jobs? So there are a lot of variables that goes into it. React Native just worked out better for me because I was coming from a web development background, and I had this barrier of hardware where I couldn't run Android Studio, and the running of emulator was really slow. So I was forced into the web, and that's how I got into React Native. And I literally code React Native in my vim right now.
Okay, that's amazing. So I hope that answers the question. Also, Akshay asked that he's new to front end, so if he should start with React Native or if you suggest something different. I think that's pretty much answered. It's more
Yeah.
about exploration.
It's more
I'm
about
right.
exploration and circumstances that you have.
Right. Okay. We have another question by Live Coding. They're asking, what is the best way to style React and React Native apps, in your opinion?
Like I have looked onto a lot of ways, and what I like is I personally like to use styled components with React, but I haven't I haven't made much scale of projects with React Native, so I'm not going to have an opinion about React Native. As I said earlier, that I started using React Native just this month, and I have been just a React developer before this.
Okay. Have you come across Native Base yet?
A native? Can you say that again?
Have you come across Native Base yet?
Native? No,
Native
I
Base.
didn't. No, I didn't have had the opportunity to eject out of React Native and write some code in some other native languages.
I'll give it a shot. I think you like it.
Yeah, maybe.
Look it up.
Sometime in
Anyway,
future.
Yeah, perhaps. Anyway, thank you so much for being with us here, Yash, and sharing all of your insight. We would love to have you towards the end of the event. So please stick around. Great.
Sure.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you towards the end of the session.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gents. So that was Yash. He talked about React Native and how it's a good move if you're coming from a React background. And I hope he has convinced a lot of you to dip your feet into the pool of React Native and maybe give it a shot. Anyway, moving on with our agenda. Next up, we have Neeraj Sinha. Neeraj is a software engineer with GeekyAnts. He works with us. And he is going to be talking about managing notifications in React Native using Firebase Cloud Messaging, FCM, and Notifee. So let's have Neeraj Sinha on the screen now.
Hello, Digvijay.
How are you doing, Neeraj?
I'm doing fine. I hope you're doing fine too.
I'm doing well. I was so used to seeing you around in the office. It's been such a long time. It's good to see you.
And sun has been really kind on your face.
Oh, thank you so much. I just stay indoors a lot. I think that's helped my glow. Anyway, great. So as an introduction to Neeraj, he is a full stack developer. He has worked in so many different things that it's hard to count. But what I can tell you about him is that he is a fast bowler.
Yeah.
You're a right-handed fast bowler?
Yeah. That's my alter ego, I guess.
That's his alter ego. There you go, folks. You straight from the horse's mouth. Anyway, Neeraj, I'm going to leave you to our viewers, and I hope you have fun. Take it away.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Neeraj Sinha. I have been working with GeekyAnts for last 2 years, and for those last 2 years, I have been working with React, React Native, Laravel, and everything in between. And I hope my screen is visible to every one of you now. I would be talking about managing notifications on React Native using Firebase Cloud Messaging with Notifee. Before starting this, I would like to talk about Firebase, and also I would like to talk about why I chose Firebase Cloud Messaging. Basically, Firebase is a cloud service which provides us with a lot of services like cloud storage, database, authentication, messaging, in-app messaging, remote notifications, Firebase cloud functions, and all. So cloud messaging is just one of the part. And talking about Firebase cloud messaging, it's a notification service which can be used to send push notification and in-app messages in iOS and Android application. Also, it supports web if you are into push notifications in web. some of the key capabilities of Firebase cloud messaging includes one of the ability to send push notification along with data messages. By data messages, I mean silent notification. Let's say you want to you have muted a chat, but you want to send the chat using a notification only, and you want to update your local database. So you can have a listener for your data messages, and if the notification object doesn't exist, we don't show a push notification. We just calculate and handle other things in the background. Versatile message targeting. We can send a notification to single devices, a group of devices, and also in Android we can have subscription to topics. So a user can be subscribed to a particular topic, and we can send a notification to that topic. Also, we have an ability to send notification from a client application. So there is no API needed if we want to just trigger an event or trigger a message from a client application just to another client. Talking about how does FCM work, and FCM implementation includes two main components. Basically, a server, which could be your backend, or maybe you can do around with cloud functions. You can both in your backend and your cloud functions, you can use Firebase SDK to send the messages, and you can identify users using tokens. And as I mentioned earlier, you can also send messages to the particular topics. On your client side, since we're talking React Native here, our client app would be a React Native app, and we would be using a JavaScript client for React Native messaging to work with. Also, if we want to test, we can send notifications using Firebase console, which we have available. And also we can send notifications using some HTTP APIs. We have some REST APIs available, which are exposed. So if you run into some kind of situation where Firebase SDK is not available for your particular server, you can make use of the REST APIs. This is a brief illustration of how the architecture of FCM is actually. So first of all, we have a message building and targeting service. So either we can build the messages through our the console of the Firebase. Might be we want to send a Christmas notification or a Christmas wish to everyone. Maybe we want to test our notification to a particular set of devices. We can use a notification console in our Firebase GUI. We can use admin SDK in our backend, any of the backend. I think whichever language you're using, Firebase SDK is available to all of you. And also we have HTTP APIs, which we can make use of if we run into any kind of scenario at all. Then our FCM backend handles those notifications, and it corresponds to those layers which are required to send the notification to the particular devices. Say Android has its own transport layer for notification, iOS has APNs, and web has something going around for their browsers to send the push notifications. Firebase handles them on. You just have to send the notifications to a particular user. Coming to installation with React Native, it's pretty simple. If you have installed Firebase in your React Native project, I would strongly suggest you go through the documentation to install Firebase, and the core functionality of Firebase in your React Native application first. And if you have Firebase installed, installing Firebase messaging should not be a problem to you. You just have to add the app module if you haven't already, and you have to add the messaging module. And just like that, we all know, we go to iOS, we do pod install. We don't have to link our packages anymore like before. So after React Native 60 point something, it's a very, very cool experience to install something. Coming to usage, first of all, before coming to usage, I would like to talk about permissions. So in an Android app, any application which is installed in your device has a permission to show a notification. But in iOS, similar to camera permission or a location permission on your Android application, in iOS you have to explicitly request for the notification that this app needs to show a notification to you, and if that app has to, if that app has a permission to show the notification. So this is the function which you can use to show the ask for the notification permission for the user. You can bootstrap this in the root of your application, or if you want to request permission explicitly, maybe through your setting page or something, you can do that too. Coming to actually receiving the messages, so our application can be divided into three kinds of state: a foreground state, a quick state, and a background state. So for Firebase messaging, uh, so the foreground state is when our app is open, this in the screen when our app is running. When our app is minimized and the app is running on the background, we consider this background state. And if the app is killed or closed, or the RAM is clear on anything, we call this a quit state. So for foreground state, we have an on message handler, and for background state and the kill state, we have a set background message handler, which would listen for the notification in the background when our app is not. Coming to the actual notification, whenever we are sending a notification through Firebase SDK or through a HTTP API, a notification of FCM message object would consider of a typical two payloads: a notification payload, and a data payload. Data payload would be an addition to your notification if you want to show a push notification, and it would be just the payload if you don't want to show a notification. Notification is the payload which you want to show, which you want to send to the particular transport layer. Let's say it's an Android transport layer or APNs. So that data is used to show the push notification. And if you don't send the notification object, it would be a silent notification, and it would only be handled on message handler in the foreground. Foreground state messages are handled something like that. You can have an on message listener, you can console log it, you can have a modal saying that you have received this notification, or you can update your local database, or you can send an API or anything. It returns the unsubscribed handler for you, so you can really easily use this in a user set. Going to the background or quick state messaging, we have to give a headless handler to the set background message handler, and the remote message would be handled in this background handler. But also, if you're sending the notification payload with your FCM message object, the notification will always have been displayed before coming to this handler. And the background message handler, it works differently on both iOS and Android. In Android, it is a headless JavaScript process, and it is rendered separate. It is rendered separately apart from your root of the application. The view part, the app.js basically. The root of your application doesn't get rendered. Only the function you have passed to the set background handler would be running in a headless JavaScript task. Although iOS doesn't support this, and so it renders a root element even if you're calling for a headless JavaScript handler. We have a get around for this. We can have a isHeadlessProp, and if isHeadlessProp is true, we can return null instead of returning our app. But this isHeadlessProp is not provided to us by default. We can manually insert this by modifying our appdelegate.m file, which is in our iOS directory, and we have to edit that quite a lot if we are installing some things. So this is an example of how we can edit it, and we can have a isHeadlessProp for this. I think I have covered what FCM is, and now I'll come why I would use Notifee if I'm using FCM. So throughout version 4, till version 4, Firebase was something like full on your client to show your notification, receive the notifications, and send notification. Now Firebase is moving more towards being a cloud service and only be responsible just to deliver you the notification, not to show the notification, letting you rely on a third party application to show and request permissions and handle your notification. So Notifee is a fork of version 4 of Firebase React Native Firebase messaging and notifications. It is built on top of that only. It has a lot of features which you can use. So if you are looking for a very basic integration of Firebase cloud messaging, and you just want to receive notifications, you don't want any kind of customization, maybe sacrificing the ability of having a pop-up notification in Android, and maybe some more caveats if you're okay with just receiving the notification, coming to the notification tray and handling those, then you should probably stick around with the basic integration of Firebase Cloud Messaging. However, if you want any kind of customization, like a pop-up notification, maybe a different sound, maybe a different duration to stay, maybe something else, then you have to install Notifee as a third-party notification handler for your Firebase Cloud Messaging messages. And coming to the features Notifee has. Uh, in Android, we have advanced channel and group management. Like we can group our notifications in some way. We can have different channels. Let's say different sound for different kind of notification. We can have custom appearances using HTML styling, custom icons. We can have behavior managements like different vibration pattern, different notification light, different sounds. We can have some on-ground, foreground service notification. Let's say we want to show a download progress indicator. Let's say we want to say that you have downloaded this XKB of file. That is possible when we are using Notifee. We have some other customization like progress indicators, action button like reply and mark as seen, as you can see on WhatsApp. These are the customization we can make using Notifee on Android. Also on iOS, we have advanced permission management. Let's say we just want to uh, ask permission for sound. We just want to ask permission for pop-up. We just want to ask permission for background handling. We can do that using this advanced permission handler in Notifee. Just to bear in mind that Notifee is a complete different package from Firebase messaging, and you have to explicitly ask permission for this as well. And you have different methods for showing the notification, and you have different methods for handling the notifications as well. Behavior management such as custom sounds, and also showing critical notification and normal notification in Android. Also, we can provide an action and categories to our notification if we're using Notifee and we are doing React Native in iOS. Displaying a notification looks something like this. We have a display notification function, and we just provide a title and body. Anything we provide under the Android parameter, it gets passed to Android. Anything we provide through iOS parameter, it get passed to iOS notification channel. And also, if we provide title inside the Android, and if we provide title inside the iOS, we can have different notification for iOS and Android as well. The channel ID is something like in Android, I think from Android 8, we have to have a default channel, or we have to have some channel to show the notification. We just create a channel, and in this channel, we can either have default channel or we can have high priority channel. We can pass our custom priority variables, and we can show the notification that way. On Android, we have to pass some channel ID to show the notification. On iOS, only if you want some kind of customization, then only you have to pass something else. Either way, you would be fine with display notification. Integration with FCM, if you are simply going for a simple integration, it looks just like that. On message handler and set background message handler can be handled with single function. And I am assuming that you are sending all your notification object to messaging.data.notifee and then message.data.notifee, I'm sorry. And here I had to JSON parse it, and then I would call the same function as above, a display notification. And so this way, every notification can be handled in the our backend server only, and our front end would just be doing the task to show the notification which is being sent from our backend. Also, you have to keep in mind that you don't have to send the notification object if you're using this Notifee, because if you're sending notification object, the notification will be showed by Firebase Cloud Messaging SDK already. So here we will only send silent notification, and after receiving these messages, we'll be showing those messages using Notifee. I'll strongly suggest go through the documentation of Notifee once. They have specific use cases for making content available to true for iOS important messages, some Android caveats as well. That will be it for my today's talk. If anyone has any question, bring them along, please. Thank you for your time.
Hi again, Neeraj.
Thank you.
In fact, we do have some questions for you.
Hey.
John Francis is asking, how will you handle notification click/actions? For example, if he wants to take the user to some page inside an app on clicking on the notification. So how would you manage that?
Okay, John, if you are showing notifications using Firebase Cloud Messaging, you will have a notification opened a notification opened listener in your app. So whenever a notification is opened, you'll have a you'll have a event that will be triggered. And if you're using Notifee, you can use it both ways, just like notification open handler. And also you can have an event which can track for each, like even an action praise. Even you can have an event listener for if the user dismisses the action, then also you can do something with your app.
Okay, I hope that answers John's questions. Kiran is asking, Headless.js does not work for iOS. Is there any way to make it work for iOS?
Yeah, Kiran, Headless.js does not work on iOS. Actually, our whole app is rendered on the background. So the way I explained that we can manually insert a isHeadless prop to our application, and we can conditionally check that if we have the isHeadless prop, we would not render the application. We would just set the background handler. That way, our background application just has the Headless.js intended Headless.js task, and our foreground application has the render elements.
Okay, I hope that answers your question, Kiran. And lastly, I have a question for you, Neeraj.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I saw that there's the periodic table on your t-shirt. What's in the middle?
Okay, so it's basically Mercury, which is dressed like Freddie Mercury.
Where did you get this from? Can I get one? Can you get one for me?
I'll send you a link.
You send me that link.
If
I love your t-shirt. You send me a link.
I'll send it today only, man. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, Neeraj, thank you so much for your time. Of course, like all of our other speakers, we would love to have you till the end of this event. So,
excuse me, Digvijay, I see one other question in the comments, so if I can interrupt.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. Okay, so Naveen, if you want to know about deep linking, what I have done is I'm using React Navigation version 5, and I'm just listening to the events, which is the notification open events, and I'm the whichever actions I'm getting, I'm conditionally checking where I should send my app. And React Navigation has been really easy to send my app or handle it in any way. Also, Sachin, you want to ask the difference between Firebase and AWS. I don't think it would be like comparing apples to oranges. Firebase is basically a cloud service which provides you a lot of things which are available to you by default. If you want to compare AWS, maybe we want to compare with Google Cloud, not with Firebase. Thanks for your time, man. Thanks again, Digvijay. Thank you for
Thank you.
letting.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you, and stick around. We'll see you at the end of the event.
Yeah, sure.
Great.
Great.
All right. So that was Neeraj, and he was talking about how you can manage notifications using FCM and Notifee. Moving on, the second last speaker of today's event is Bhargav. Uh, Bhargav would be talking about. Wait, do we have it? Yeah, there we go. Bhargav would be talking about declarative animations with framer motion. Can we have Bhargav on the screen with us? There he is.
Oops. Too much zoom. 1 second. Let's use a different
I
camera.
think just your camera a little bit. Oh, there he is.
Okay.
How
Hey.
many cameras are you using?
I have 2. I don't think I've configured this one properly. Sorry.
That's okay.
So yeah, FaceTime is generally not good for me. So just give me
Oh.
1 sec.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. Probably a bit better, I guess. Okay.
Okay,
There we go.
this one was. Ah,
Yeah.
I see.
Hi.
Great. Hi. How are you doing? How's your
I'm doing
afternoon
fine.
been?
I'm doing fine. Thank you. I'm very happy to be amongst you guys. The talks until now have been very good. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. As a short introduction to Bhargav, he is an experienced full stack developer, and he is probably one of the most humble people I've come across. Because I'll tell you why. Because when he was asked about his achievements, he said, "I don't know what to say, but I will tell you what he has done." So to start with, he's a core contributor at Style Components. He is managing reacthooks.org. He has written a book on React. He has been an active blogger, and he is also a mentor and teaching students at Code Mentor. I mean, is there anything that you have not done?
The book isn't finished. So I've been writing the book for a long time, and the book isn't finished. But
Oh, it will be.
thank you for the the kind introduction. Thank you very much.
Anyway, Bhargav, I'll let you speak to our viewers and take it away.
Okay. Okay. Just let me know if you're not able to see my screen. Okay. There we go. Hey everyone. Thank you for having me. So today I just want to talk a little bit about Framer Motion, which is a very exciting library if you are into React. It's probably not related to React Native, but the intention is that if you're a React developer, then Framer Motion should excite you immediately and you would feel like you want to try it out today. If you're in React Native, I hope the API inspires you to try out, to build a library that works as great as Framer Motion. So I'm not going to put it in full screen. I just have 2 slides. Most of it is live coding. So a little bit about me, apart from what Digvijay already said. So I am a remote full stack developer. I've been working remotely for about 5 years now. I work on React, Vue, and Svelte. Svelte is relatively new, but it has caught my interest. And apart from Framer Motion, my other interest is Xstate, which is a state machine library for React. These two are what are occupying me for most of my day these days. And I'm Bhargav5 on Twitter, GitHub, and YouTube. So let's get started. So Framer Motion is a library by the company Framer, and people at BuilderX should probably already know about Framer. It's very similar to what you guys are trying to do. But you have something like this, and there's a lot of stuff going around, and you can quickly build iOS apps, Android apps with Framer Motion. Also web apps, I think, relatively new. But they also built a very nice animation library for React, which looks like this. So these are obviously the best picked examples, but you can see how as I'm scrolling, these animations quickly come into play. There are some very smooth animations going on here. So the code is actually just this. There isn't much going on behind the scenes. So what you see here is what you'll eventually be doing if you are using Framer Motion. So you also have things like this where an element or component can animate out of its layout very seamlessly. This is very hard to achieve if you are using plain CSS and JavaScript, because all of these are on in position relative or static, and you are trying to animate them into position absolute. So the layout has changed, but Framer Motion is able to do it without much of a hassle. See how seamless this is, and this is pretty much all the code that you write to do that. Okay, so you can check this out later, but I'm just going to quickly go ahead into my live code and just show you what you can do with frame of motion. So what I have here is a toast component, and right now I'm just using a plain JavaScript transition, a CSS transition to just animate it into view. So I just put in a math random stuff here. I'll come to that. But each time I show a toast or hide it, I'm generating a random number. I'll get to that. So what we have so far is a toast component that has a few rules, and the rules that we should be looking at are these. So it has a few styles which will put it over here, and initially it is transformed below the screen by 200%, and when it is active, it's going to come into view, and it's going to transition because we have this property here. So what can we? So the thing here is that generally with toast components, what happens is the content inside a toast can change often. So the content that is here now is probably not related to the next toast message you would show, right? So generally that requires us to destroy the toast once its activity is done. It's not like a sidebar where you can just keep it in view after you're done with it. So that comes with more complexities, because animating something into the screen is far more difficult on web. So when it is not yet rendered, rendering it and also moving it into the screen is a very difficult thing, because sometimes the element will simply disappear while it hasn't even finished its animation. So that's why I think toast is a good example to show. So let's try to do the same animation behavior with frame of motion. Okay. So I'm going to remove the active thing now. So it's not going to appear into view anymore. But instead of using a div, I'm going to use a component called motion. So this is very similar to style components API. So just like you import style from style components, you would import motion, and you would use motion.div, something like this. And again, it's not going to work, but we gave it some class names, and let's get rid of these rules. We don't need these anymore. So what do we want? We want our toast to start at transform y at 200%. So very easy with frame of motion. I'm just going to set a prop called initial, and instead of setting transform translate y 200, there's a shorthand which is y, and I'm going to set it at 200%. And wait. Initial 200%, and I need to animate it into view with y as 0. Let me refresh the page. Okay, so pretty much what we did earlier. So I started at initial y 200%, and I immediately animated to y 0. So we didn't tie it to the class name yet, but I wanted to show you how quickly you can animate. So we'll tie it to the class name now. So I want to animate to y 0 if toast is visible. So I have a condition there to just check if toast is visible. If toast is visible, then I'll animate to 0%. Otherwise, I'll go back to my animation, which is y at 200%. So let's try the animation again. Show toast, hide toast. Works perfectly fine. So now, just to do a recap. So what we did here is we just put two props, initial and animate. Initial is the first set of styles that it will have when it hasn't yet animated. So animate will run immediately after mount. If there is no initial animation, it will just remove the initial stuff. Okay, so that is why it was showing up into the screen even when we didn't have anything in animate yet. Okay, so what we did here is, if initially we will start with y as 200%, and it will animate to y 0 the moment toast is visible, and then it will simply smoothly animate back to 200% when this gets toggled to false. So again, the example that I eventually want to show you is that if toast is not even visible, I don't even want to render the toast. I want to destroy it smoothly. I want to destroy the JSX. So if toast is visible, then only show this. If it's not visible, then simply return null. So this is where, as developers, we'll run into issues where it simply disappears. It doesn't animate properly. So frame of motion has a very nice API to help you deal with that also, and that is the animate presence prop. So this, the name speaks for itself, but animate presence is going to animate your it's going to wait until your initial and exit animations complete. So we'll see that, how we can use that. So I want this to, to be presented beautifully. So what I'll do is I'll put it inside animate presence, and I'm going to take this condition. I'll remove this and I'll just put a condition over here. So if toast is visible, then only I'm going to view my div here. Okay, and yeah, so we have initial, just like component will mount, so which was the older API. There is a component will unmount, right? We still have that API. So there is this animation that you can use. Again, declarative animation, you don't have to dig deep into frame of motion to use it. You can simply put in an exit key. And what is our exit animation? Our exit animation is simply y equals 200%. So now this prop, we don't need to check for this anymore. We can simply put in y as 200% here. Y is 0%. So what are we doing here? Initially, when the component mounts, we are going to start at 200%. So smoothly, when you render, just put it at 200%, and then immediately go to y is equal to 0% because the toast is now visible. You have to show yourself now. And when I'm unmounting it, don't just disappear. Just animate to 200% before you unmount. So that is what we're trying to do here. So now I'm going to show toast. It's going to smoothly come into view and smoothly disappear. But the JSX no longer has the toast the moment it goes out of the view. So after the animation is completed, it is going to get disappeared from the view. So not only Y, there are many things that you can animate. So you can also animate opacity if you like. So I want my opacity to be 0 when it animates, when it is hidden in the view, and opacity as 1 when it shows up, and again opacity as 0. So it will now beautifully animate opacity as well. I can also animate background color, whatever. So all of the style props, most of them you can definitely animate them over here. So again, this is, you probably already, we are React developers. Whenever we see something used twice, we'll think about abstraction. So a frame of motion already has something for abstraction also. So I'm very not happy with my code because I'm using something twice. So I'll use something called variants. So what I'll do is I'll create variants, and my toast component has two variants, hidden and visible. So I can specify those here. Okay, and I'll simply paste my props over here. Hidden and visible. I think that, okay, sorry. And instead of passing initial, animate, exit, all of that, I'm going to simply pass in a prop called variants. And I'm going to I want my initial variant to be hidden, and my animate variant to be visible, and my exit variant to also be hidden. Okay, reload the page. Show toast, hide toast, works perfectly fine. The last thing that I want to show as part of this demo is that variants, they are contextual. So for example, I'm not happy with this span. I want my span also to animate when the toast is appearing. So I don't have to create new variants for it. I've already passed variants to motion.div, and I'm specifying the variant that I'm looking at. So if my motion.div is in the hidden variant, I can not only target just this, I can also target all children as well. So here, what I'll do is I'll pass in variants for the span. I'm going to call them span variants. Span variants. I'll just copy this, and I'll say span variants. And what do I want? When it's hidden, I want maybe its color to be # FF000. And when it's visible, maybe the color to be #0000FF. Okay, RGB. Let's try. Show toast. Okay, we have our first bug. What is it? Oh, sorry, this is span. This should be motion.span, right? Sorry. Yep. There we go. So the thing to remember here is that we are not using any built-in CSS transition or anything. We are using we are just specifying the transitions, and it is still managing how to smoothly animate. So the way it does is it uses Spring animations. There are various kinds of animations, but by default it uses Spring. You can always customize the animation behavior the way you want. You can specify dampening, stiffness, and so on, and control the behavior of the spring. So spring is half k square, right? You can control k, you can control x, and so on, and you can define by how much and by what speed it is moving. Also, yeah. So we are notice how we are specifying the start point and end point and everything between it is automatic. So unlike a CSS transition, this is not managed entirely by CSS, not on its own separate process. So all of this is pretty much done by JavaScript. So each time from the starting to end point, it calculates all the middle values and keeps changing those values so that you see a smooth animation in front of you. So there is one last thing that I think I should show you, which I think is very, very exciting. Let me just check if it is present in my sandboxes. The last thing is a drag animation. I hope. I think it's this. Yeah, so I was, I thought I had enough. I would finish my talk in 20 minutes, but yeah, okay. I think it's this. Wait. Or I can show you an example, man. What's the, yeah, this. So to do something like this, it is very, very easy with frame of motion. All you have to do is specify drag property and specify drag constraints. So if you want a div to animate within its parent, you want it to animate and drag only within certain restrictions. If you do it with plain JavaScript, then once you drag it, it'll just keep running. If you just don't use any library like frame of motion. But with frame of motion, you can specify the constraints. You can specify the rectangle within which it should smoothly drag, and you can specify the property called drag. So drag freely XY directions, and my constraints are simply the rectangle that is outside this and just only drag within that. So this I have been using extensively for my company, and I'm very happy with this. So there is an Instagram comment section that we're implementing with frame of motion. So it's like when you click on the comments, it comes up, and you can drag its height around. All of this is very, very easy with frame of motion, and I would highly recommend frame of motion for you to try out with your React projects. And if you're a React Native developer only, then I would suggest, I would recommend you try out building something like this for yourself and for the community. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi again, Bhargav.
Hey.
Thank you so much. That was very informative.
Thank you.
Quite exciting. I mean, you got me very interested in all the different animations that you were doing, and probably I hope that our viewers are also just as excited to try them out.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
At the moment, we don't have any questions for you from the viewers, because I think probably you just. We have one. Wonderful timing, Ankit. So Ankit asks, what are your thoughts on GSAP?
What exactly is it? Green sock or something? Does GSAP stand for that?
Is that what you mean, Ankit? Just let us know.
I don't know the abbreviation full form. What is GSAP again? I hope it's green sock. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So green sock. If I've only seen it being used in what theme forest. How heavy is it on the module? Okay, I'll answer Ankit's question first. So green sock, yeah. So all animation library are pretty great. So there are multiple alternatives like React Spring, green sock as well. But what I think is that none of them have the declarative API that frame of motion has. So with 2 props, you can control the entire behavior of mounting, unmounting, transition in between. I don't think any of these APIs have that. But again, they all come with the similar drawbacks. So if you're running animations on the JavaScript thread, then you will have some issues instead of running it on transitions or keyframes. There are some issues because again, if your JavaScript is single threaded, so if you're animating extensively, then everything else will stop. So you have to manage that. But GreenSock or frame of motion, for me, the difference is the API, how declarative it is. Spring has a hook usage. Yes. So the topic was just declarative. So I only showed you the React props, but Frame of Motion also has a lot of hooks. So there is use transform, there is use Spring, plenty of hooks that you can dive into. So I'm just going to share the link if possible. Where is it? Framer.com/motion. Okay, there it is. I'll share it in the chat so someone can post it in comments as well. I'm not logged in. Maybe that's why I'm not able to post. So
That's all right.
I'll just take one last question, which is, Tanmay Bhatt is asking which one I used. I used to use React Spring, but now I'm using Frame of Motion for the same reasons, the props.
Right. So
Okay.
Shiva has one question for you.
Okay.
He's asking how to use augmented reality or VR with React.js and React Native.
Augmented reality. So the last library that I knew was famous in the VR community was React VR itself. So I've only tried it when it first came out. I haven't tried how heavy the library is. If it is, So I'm sorry if I stopped answering the question, but as far as VR is concerned, even I don't know. I haven't used much. But React VR, I tried out. I tried building a cube. So it's not very heavy. It's not very heavy. Frame of Motion is not compatible with React Native. So I mentioned that when I started. It is not compatible because we are using motion.dev and initial, animate, etc. They are all pretty much CSS transforms. So they won't. So I hope that this inspires you to build something for native also. So that's why I feel like it is relevant. Also, Frame of Motion, BuilderX, people at BuilderX will know what Framer is. So, and that's why it's contextual also.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of questions pouring in, so we'll take it to the comment section.
I can answer in comments or whatever. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Bhargav, for your time
Thank you.
and being here with us. It was a pleasure. And please stick around to the end of the event.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you.
See you.
All right, folks. So that was Bhargav, and he was showcasing Framer Motion and how you can achieve really smooth animations and transitions using that. We have reached towards the end of our event today with our last talk, which is with Himanshu. Let's have Himanshu on the screen. There he is. Good afternoon, Himanshu. I hope we did not keep you waiting for too long.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Digvijay. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good too.
So Himanshu today is going to introduce us to this new state management library that has been built by GeekyAnts again, since Himanshu is a senior software developer here at GeekyAnts with us, which is called Sync State, if I'm right. As an introduction, Himanshu has been a part of some of our major projects. He's been with us for a very long time. He's worked on endless things, but I think the most notable ones would be that he is the co-creator of Nativebase, and that he is currently building and improving BuilderX.io daily. So that's that. Anyway, Himanshu, I would leave you to our audience, and I would let you introduce them to Sync State, which is this new awesome state management library. So all the best, and take it away.
Yeah. Thanks for the introduction, Digvijay. So hello, everyone. I hope you all are having a good day. I'm Himanshu, and I'm a tech lead at GeekyAnts. I mostly do R&D stuff here. I love working on new ideas and products. So let's get started with the topic, state management with Sync State. I believe most of you probably haven't heard of it. That's because it's a new state management library that we at GeekyAnts built recently. I know you must be thinking, here comes another state management library. So if you just bear with me, I'll tell you why we came up with it. So we are building a design tool called BuilderX at GeekyAnts, and I have been working on it since its inception. It's just like any other design tool, except it gives you UI code for your screens that you design. There we have been working towards this new feature which adds multiplayer functionality. So what that means is multiple users should be able to edit the same document simultaneously. So it's a really cool and useful feature that allows better collaboration. So I'll just show you how that works. So as you see, we see the cursor for another user here, and two users are designing at the same time. Yeah, so that's how it works. Okay, so we wanted to build this feature for BuilderX, and after discussing a few ideas, we came to a conclusion that JSON patches would work best for this. So let's see what are JSON patches. So if this is a document and this is a patch which has operation add, path hello, value world. So if we apply this patch on this document, it modifies the document and adds a property called hello with value world here. And let's say we apply another patch and it again adds some value. Simple. Okay. So the patches, JSON patches can be used for data syncing across threads and multiple sessions. So that's why I say that it's easier to build this multiplayer functionality using JSON patches. So let's see how that works. So the same patch can be applied over two documents, and both documents will arrive at the same state after the application of that patch. Okay. So, but yes, that this multiplayer functionality comes with its own set of challenges. So the challenges are like one thing is there might be conflicting changes from different clients. So we have to resolve that somehow. And we also want the changes that are being made at the client to be responsive. That should be reflected at their design immediately. Uh, so we can't wait for an acknowledgement from the server. So sometimes when server says that this patch has been overridden or something like that happens, we have to reverse these patches at the client. So that is something that needs to be handled. And if we have a tree of objects and we reorder something, multiple clients are reordering simultaneously, or like someone is reordering and someone is changing some other property at the same time, that needs to be handled correctly. Also, each client has its own undo redo stack, so that needs to work independently. So these are a few set of challenges that we had to work on. I won't be going into the details of how you fix, how you solve these issues. For that, I would really want to recommend this article by Figma. They also have the same kind of feature, multiplayer feature. So they have written an article about how that works. Yeah, but we saw that there was no out-of-the-box functionality that was available for us to use, and we built our own solution for this. And then we wanted to share this solution as an open source library. So let's move ahead. Okay, so this open source solution should allow you to build multi-user real-time apps easily. That's what we wanted when we built Sync State. So it's an open source library. You can try it out, but it's still in beta, so I won't say it's production ready, but we have some basic use cases ready. Okay, and one thing I would like to say here is that we wanted to build Sync State as a general purpose state management library, and then add the functionalities like multiplayer and undo redo through plugins. So because we wanted to keep the core library light. Okay. So yeah, why build a new state management library for just for this functionality? So as I said, this feature would work best with JSON patches, and if we wanted to make the existing state management solutions work well with JSON patches, like it would require a bit of work. So we thought that a state management library which works entirely on JSON patches would help implementing this easily. Okay, so I think enough talking about it. Let's see some examples. I have also included the QR code here. It's a code sandbox example, so you can go ahead and scan it and check it out yourself. I'm going to show it right now. Okay, so let's start with the to-do example. Okay, so I just want to show you how to code, uh, how to write code using this library and like how it works, the basic things. So you import this create doc store functions and you provide some initial document to it, and yeah, the store is created, and then you have this provider which you import from SyncState React. This library is a helper for to use this use SyncState with React. Of course, you can use SyncState without React, but here I'm only going to cover how to use it with React. So yeah, uh, so provider is there to have the store in context, just like Redux does, so that the store is available to all the components. Okay, so let's move to this to-do app component. Okay, so we define this to-do path here, which is slash to-dos. That's how JSON patch path works. So if you see in this document, to-dos is at the root level. So slash to-dos will refer to this data here. Okay. And then we have this hook called use doc, where you pass this path and then you get the data at that path and a setter function to modify that data. So I've just wrapped this in an add to do function. We are calling this function on the submission of this form. So yeah, you call the set to do function and you pass the callback to it, and that callback receives the to do's state, and then you can just mutate that as you require. Okay, so you must be thinking like where, but where is the JSON patch? Like this library is built on JSON patches, but you don't see patches anywhere here. So the patches are hidden with the help of emerge.js. So if you use this use doc hook and get a set doc function, you call it like this. So internally, what it does is the emerge.js provides you a draft state. So what happens here is when you're working on this, when this set doc callback receives doc, that is a draft state, and when you mutate that draft state, emerge.js gives you JSON patches for that. So we just dispatch those patches, and yeah, so SyncState is based on Redux. So when I say we dispatch this patches, it's dispatched to our internal Redux store. So that's how it works. Okay. Before going to another example, I'll just show how we work with to-do items example. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. So what you can see, I'm iterating over this to-dos array here, and then rendering the to-do item component. My cursor is not working for some reason. Okay. Okay. So this to-do item component receives the to-do item path, Yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell you how that path gets passed around. So as you see, to do path was slash to do's, and then when we render to do items, we just append slash index here. So to do item receives that path, so something like to do slash 0 for the first item, and then you use this hook and pass this path to get the to do item and setting the to do item. The same way we set to do item, we can update the caption and complete it on this on change. Yeah, so that's how it works. I'll just show you. Yeah. Okay. So I think that is simple enough. Let's move on to another example. The counter example. Okay. So now you see I'm not passing anything in useDoc hook here. Uh, that's because as you see our state is just count and it's initialized with 0. So we just wanted to fetch the root document here. So if you don't pass anything, we get the root document. And we have created this increment and decrement function where we do doc.count plus plus and same for the decrement. So yeah, it works. Okay, so let's move on to another example, counter example with undo. So as I said, we wanted to provide undo functionality to through plugins. So we have built we have a basic implementation of this plugin. It's not really ready right now, but I'll show you how that works. So this example is the same as the previous one, uh, but we are also receiving this dispatch function from useDoc hook. Let's see what that dispatch does. So we can dispatch history.undo and history.redo actions here. So what it does is it just reverses the last patch or it just reapplies the last patch. And yeah, I forgot to tell you that you also need to add that plugin in the plugin here in create doc store. Okay. So yeah, that's how it works. But if you have implemented undo redo with Redux, you might know that you store a snapshot for each state in Redux undo. And like whenever you want to go back or go forward in the history, you have to apply the whole snapshot or you just have to replace that with the new state. But sync state history, which is a plugin for sync state, which manages undo redo, it stores only the patches and then those patches just need to be applied or reversed. Okay, so that brings me to document syncing example. Okay, so this one is just a basic example of how you can sync two different documents with sync state. Okay, so you see I've created two stores here and I have two components, app1, app2. Let's say these are two separate counters and both have their own provider and I pass them their own store. Okay, so if you see both counters are synced. Okay, so let's see how we sync that. So we have this method called store.observe. So I'm observing some at root path. So whatever changes are being made at the root, I'm just observing those changes. And I receive this change object in my callback. So that change contains the JSON patch that is generated. So I'm observing on store one and I'm dispatching that to store 2. So that's how I can apply the same patch that is generated in store 1 to store 2. I'm doing the same thing for store 2. I'm observing store 2 and applying to store 1. So that's how they are kept in sync. Yeah, so this was just a simple example to show how the document syncing works, but it's a step towards building a multiplayer functionality. While I don't have the full multiplayer functionality example ready on Code Sandbox, I'm going to show you something. Okay, so yeah, multiplayer functionality is provided through a remote plugin in Sync State. It has 2 parts, a server part and client part. So the challenges that I told you earlier, which come up with this feature, that is implemented in the server part. Most of it is implemented in the server part, where we store the patches and we resolve conflicts, we resolve the reordering issues and all that. And on the client side, we have to handle the reversing of local patches when they are invalid, and the undo redo functionality that also needs to be managed with this plugin on client side. So I'll just show a basic code, working code of how that works. Okay. So I'm just adding this remote plugin here, and then I dispatch this remote.enable remote / to-dos. So what this does is in our document, it enables remote functionality for this part of the tree. So it doesn't affect filter or any other data that is present in the document. It only syncs to-dos. So you can enable this for different parts of your tree as you like. So I just established a socket communication here with the server, and from socket I receive an event where it says that the patches have been loaded, and I can just call set loading for this remote plugin, so that you can use this loading state in your UI for loading states, and then whenever a change is coming from socket, you can apply it through the remote plugin, and that remote plugin handles the reversal of patches and those things internally. So you don't have to do that. You just have to receive the change from the socket and provide it to remote plugin. And also you have to observe the changes to to-dos path, and then you have to emit those over socket. So whatever changes are happening to to-dos, those are being emitted through the socket. And then the server part, I'll show you the server part. So when we receive the change, we have this remote plugin for server as well. So we send that change to remote first. We call this process change function. Again, this function handles conflict resolution and those things for you. And then it gives you a callback on change ready. So whenever it is ready, you can store your patches anywhere you like, your database or anything, and you broadcast those to other clients. So that's how this works. I'll show you how that, like I have a basic running example. Okay. So I have opened this example in 2 tabs. So I'll add something here and let's see. Okay, so you can see this here too. Let's complete this to-do item, and it's completed here. So yes, we are able to sync the to-do items across multiple clients. That's how it works. And yeah, we are not done here. We have to go ahead and do some more things with this plugin. First, we have to make this stable and finish the undo, redo, and remote functionality. But also, we hope that it catches on and like we can implement more things, more functionalities through plugins. We can also have REST and GraphQL plugins to seamlessly have fetching and updating of remote data with local mutations. And we can have more plugins for things like that you generally do with state management, like forms, API calls, or persistent storage. Yeah, so it's there on GitHub, and you can check out the documentation at syncstate.github.io. So this is the amazing team that has worked on BuilderX and also this library. Yeah, go ahead, check it out. That's all from my side. Thank you all for listening. Back to you, Digvijay.
Hi again, Himanshu.
Hi.
Thank you so much for introducing us to SyncState. I think everybody has a pretty decent idea now about what it does, and maybe hopefully they'll go ahead and give it a go.
Yeah.
While we do have a question for you, so Albert Sebastian is asking, how is SyncState different from the Recoil library, and what are both of these trying to solve? Especially, what is SyncState trying to solve?
Yeah. So Recoil is is a different state management library. I would say that SyncState is different in the sense that we have built it keeping multiplayer functionality and undo redo features in mind, and so that we are able to like add these functionalities easily as plugins. So that's why we chose JSON patches as the core, uh, let's say, the basis that we built upon here. Uh, so it's like slightly different from other state management libraries in that way.
Okay, and our own keynote speaker, Sankhadeep, is asking, does it have TypeScript support?
Yeah, not right now, but we would love to work on it, and like we would also like to have others for contributing. And if Shankadeep wants, he can contribute too.
Well, we'll talk about that with him offline, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much, Himanshu, for everything that you have shared. And I will bring you back on the screen in a few minutes for the closing.
Yeah.
So stick around.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, everyone. We have officially reached the end of today's event. Before we start with the closing, I would just like to invite all of our speakers on the screen. So if everybody can switch on their cameras, that would be awesome. Okay, we have Yash here. Neeraj is here. Hello again, Toby. Gurmanjot is here. So is Bhargav. And my own team. Guys, thank you so much for making this event such a success. I hope the viewers today watching all of you discuss all of these important and new things out in the world of React and React Native would probably learn something new or take something very valuable with them today. So thank you so much. And I hope the viewers loved whatever you had to share. For a closing, I think what I would like to say is that these, like always, just a gentle reminder that these are very tough and challenging times, and it is very important for all of us to be courteous and respectful with everybody that we meet and are surrounded by. It is very important to be safe, follow all the safety measures that you can, and to keep yourself and your family members and people you love safe, and everybody else, of course. Also, mental health is a real issue, and it is very important for all of us to take care of ourselves and others, and lend a helping hand wherever we can. I hope all of us agree with this thing. And again, I would like to thank you, and I would like to thank all the viewers that stuck with us for this entire event. I know it's been almost 2.5 hours now, but I hope it was informative. I hope you could take something from this event. And well, before we end, I just want to take a quick picture with everybody. Now, since we can't do it in person, it's a tradition that at the end of every meetup that we do, we click a picture together. But since we can't do it in person right now, I will just very quickly take a screenshot with all of us here, just for memory's sake. So when I say, if everybody would strike a pose.
Okay.
All right. Strike a pose in 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Thank you so much. Very quickly, a huge shout out to all the team that worked in the backend: Rishabh, Maheshwari, Shweta, Gaurav, everybody else who worked tirelessly to make this event such a success. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to know about all the new events that we do and all the content that we put up here. Do follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/GeekyAnts. Follow React Native Bangalore at twitter.com/@ReactNativeBLR. That's the handle. And do check out GeekyAnts.com. Reach out to us. We would love to have a chat with you. So at the end, thank you so much to all the speakers for being here, sparing your time and sparing all the information that you had. It was amazing to have you. We would love to have you here next time again. Thank you so much to all the viewers for watching us, and God bless you all, and see you next time.
Also follow Digvijay.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Yes, please follow me. Thank you.
Kingo Sarcasm 101. That's your Twitter username, right?
Oh yeah, that's my personal account. That's my alter ego,
Oh.
Neeraj. Yeah, I have another account that's @Digvijay Wanchoo, so you can follow me there as well. Follow both. I mean,
You both play
why
cricket
not?
there, I think.
All right, thank
Awesome.
you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you all.
much.
Bye.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.